We're also following this story, though, in the United States, where the CEO of Boeing is being grilled today in Washington by Congress on Capitol Hill. Concerns are being raised over whether Boeing misled regulators, allowing the 737 jets to take off without proper inspection. Listen to this.
On behalf of myself and the Boeing Company, we are sorry, deeply and truly sorry. We feel responsible for our airplanes, and we know that there are some fixes that we need to make. We own that, and we are implementing those fixes going forward.
Yeah, but there are a lot of questions over how Boeing has dealt with all of this, really from the beginning. Let's bring in aviation lawyer, former pilot Arthur Rosenberg. Arthur, great to have you with us on CTV in Canada. What do you make of what we're hearing from Dennis Muhlenberg today?
Yeah, so really, Muhlenberg was really in the hot seat today. He's lost his chairmanship position. He's probably on the outs as far as being a CEO. But as far as Boeing as a company is concerned, I don't think there's any question that there was material information that they knew about this MCAS system, which basically took over the control of the airplane prior to the Lion Air crash. We're on the one-year anniversary today, certainly after the Lion Air crash and before the Ethiopian crash. And Boeing is under investigation in the United States by the Justice Department, by the FAA. There's civil litigation going on, which we're involved in. So Muhlenberg really had to toe the line very carefully. And I did listen to most of his testimony. And really what he said in a nutshell is, look, we're sorry. We acknowledge our responsibility with the safety of the airplane, but these airplanes were recoverable. Now, they never said, and they never blamed the flight crew, but in litigation, they're clearly blaming the flight crews for not being able to recover the planes. So Boeing was complicit, I believe, in keeping important information away from the authorities, which they were able to get an early approval of the airplane, get this plane to market, and compete with Airbus.
Some of the revelations, Arthur, that have been coming out in the past 6 months in particular, as you know, following it, are very disturbing. The idea that Boeing has so much power to almost police itself, and that, you know, they were aware of issues, that they didn't inform the pilots properly of this system. I mean, it really seems like a cascade of issues here, and obviously the company trying to put the best face forward on it. But ultimately, I mean, where does the buck stop here?
Yeah, well, first of all, in the United States, there's an incestuous relationship between the FAA and Boeing. Boeing has something called ODA authority, which basically gives them the authority of the FAA to approve critical components and systems. If you listen to Muhlenberg today, they try to shift that over to the FAA, saying, well, we gave them the information, and they're ultimately the ones that approve it. Yeah, that's technically true, but that approval by the FAA is basically just a rubber stamp following in the path that Boeing has mowed. So the buck stops with Boeing. And I've been involved in aviation litigation. I've been a pilot and engineer for more years than I care to talk about on air. I have never seen anything like this in all my years. And there was a leaked text, which your viewers may be aware of, by one of the test pilots after the Lion Air crash, went into a simulator, and he basically said, under the same circumstances, the simulator was running rampant and I couldn't control it. Well, guess what? That's what the flight crew of the Lion airplane was faced with, and the same with the Ethiopian plane. So where does the buck stop? It stops with Boeing. And as far as their mantra, safety, 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 well, they certainly didn't execute in these two very unfortunate situations.
Well, I know the testimony is going to be continuing, Arthur, and we'd love to get you back later on in the week to get your take on how it plays out, because I think it's really important to get your expertise, both as a lawyer involved in the aviation industry, but also a former pilot. In the meantime, thank you for this, though, today.
Thank you for having me.
Arthur Rosenberg. All right, some great analysis from him.